So, I'm knee deep, head deep in the Fiona Buckley Ursula Blanchard series. And I'm trying not to do them every day, but I like a good binge read because then I'm this focused and I know my characters. But I got a gift card for Christmas and I needed to figure out how to spend it. And I kept searching and searching and searching. I hadn't been doing new releases at that point, but I am doing new releases every month, so now I'll be aware. I was only looking for certain authors, and I kept looking for certain other authors also. And they weren't coming up in searches. I kept looking. So I gave up. And then when I got the gift card, I started looking again and I discovered this. And I'm like, oh God, how did I not know this came out? So I went ahead and ordered it. And it came. I should have done an unboxing, but anyway, it's been a year since I did this last book. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy smancy stuff going on here. So anyways, like I said, it's been a year. And I had to go back and watch my own videos to catch up, to refresh the memory. Because normally I would do a binge reread, but I've already done videos on all of the books, and I wasn't going to go back and do a reread unless I could do a video, and I couldn't do a video because I've already done a video. And I'm going to take her batteries out. I swear I'm going to take her batteries out. If you want to see her identity, please go check out 30/30 New Year's Eve 2024-2025 videos. So anyways, I had to go back. I know I really like this series, and I'm always looking for this one. I'm always looking for Andrea Penrose. I'm also looking for Catherine Shellman. I've got another one over there. I forget which one it is. I think it's Shellman. I think. But so I'm always looking for these ladies, and Andrea Penrose, Shellman, Alyssa Maxwell, there's a couple of others that I'm constantly looking for, in addition to my authors, which when a couple of my other authors, when they do something, it's blasted everywhere. And I don't see these. For whatever reason, these don't come up on my radar. But now that I'm doing the new releases every month, they'll come up and I'll see them sooner. So I didn't even count. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is book 9 in the series. If you haven't seen my other videos, please go check those out. They're in the corner over here. Before I thought of moving the couch, I should have thought of moving the couch a long time ago. My back was killing me on the floor. But anyway, this is book 9, and I got so involved. I made my cast list, so I'll have it for future. And there's more than this. This is about 30-something names. But I missed about 10 characters because by that point in the story, I had gotten drawn in and was too busy with the story to write down all the specific characters. However, I did take pages upon pages of notes. So this is book 8. I wrote book 8. Why did I write book 8? Let me double check this because I will put it in the title. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is book 8. So I stand corrected. This is book 8 in the series. And like I said, I did all 7 last January. That's when I did them. I had to look them up myself. And I may go back and fill in some more of the descriptions now that I've gotten intelligent again. But anyway, sorry. I've noticed some discrepancies, so anyways, but it was good and helpful to see my review of the book, and it refreshed my memory, so I didn't have to do that reread. I just reviewed my videos and caught up with the series that way. Because I remember how I was really, really into her, Rosalind, our hero, a useful woman, and Devon, the Duke. And I was debating the issues there, because if she went with the Duke, then, and he allowed her to continue her investigations, she would, what is she doing? She would be allowed into houses and stuff because she would be a countess or a duchess, and she could get away with doing stuff. But then on the other hand, maybe society, the tone would frown upon a duchess doing investigations. So on the other hand, we have our Viscount in C.S. Harris and his wife do investigations all the time. So I was comparing it to that particular thing. So, but then she was with the Bow Street Runner, and on the other hand, if she married the cop, then they could do investigations together too. And it seems like she eventually did give Devon the heave-ho, and we haven't heard higher hair from for a few books now. So it's just her and Adam Harkness. And Adam Harkness got relieved of duty the other day because of situation. So go check out the last book for all my videos on that and read this is a really good series. I enjoy the heck of it. And it's over 400 pages. It's a good sized book. It took me a little bit. I tried to savor it and drag it out a little bit because I was enjoying it immensely. So we get this, well, first of all, Alice. All right, let me slow down here. Let me see if I can get my characters here. Rosalind is our useful woman. She does investigations for women who have lost or misplaced items, or may need help with a delicate matter that they don't want a man to get involved in. Then we have Adam Harkness. He's our ex-Bow Street Runner. He's now working with Sir David, who is the coroner, who has a little bit of authority with the bureaucracy, whatever. And Adam is going to be working for him. And so he's going to be doing investigations with Sir David. And Sir David is the coroner. Just like there's a coroner in C.S. Harris too. I forget what the name of it guy is, and that guy has a limp and leg and issues with all that. We'll get into that the next time a C.S. Harris book comes out. Then we have George and Alice, and they're both reporters. But Alice does less reporting than usual. She has become an author and she's writing books. And George is still the reporter, and he married Hannah. So they're brother and sister, and he's moved on to a house with Hannah, and Alice moved in with Rosalind to assist her in some stuff, to write her book, and stuff like that. Then we have, let's see, Sarah Villers is Lady Jersey. She's the ruler of Amex, and she's been involved in some previous capers. We have Saunders folks. He's a friend and confidant. He's only in the book for like this much. In other books, he's in this much. But in this one, he's this much. And he's a main core character. And we know he's a friend and confidant. We don't see him, except for like the 1, 2 chapter. That's it. He's gone. We do not see or hear from him again. Also, Ernest Clemens, the librarian, he's around for 1 or 2 chapters, and then he is also gone. But then we meet Miss Fitzherbert, and supposedly was a former queen, and her husband wants to divorce her, or something along those lines. I'm not too sure there, because there's another lady that's also involved. We'll read that thing at the end. So, someone has stolen Miss Fitzherbert's marriage certificate, and she wants Rosalind to find it. So Rosalind, they arrange for Amelia, who is a friend of Rosalind's. She's also starting a school, teaching, it's described in the book, McGowan School for Improvement of Working Girls, to teach them reading and writing and other kinds of stuff like that. So Amelia is doing that, and she was a maid at one point, but now she's doing the school because she's coming to $2. So then we have, of course, we have the Bow Street people, and we know that Mr. Townsend and Mr. I didn't write the other guy's name down. Lavender and Mr. Gutierrez is a good friend of Simon Adams. We don't see too much of him in this book. Towards the end, he shows up for a few chapters, and he's a trustworthy guy. But Townsend and Lavender are not so. And the other guy, I didn't write his name down. Oh, I don't have his name. Stafford. Stafford, that's the other guy's name. Townsend and Stafford are the two head guys with the Bow Street. And then Lavender and Gutierrez is a friend. And Mr. Fowler is a servant in Miss Fitzsimmons' house. And the guy just gives me really bad vibes, creepy vibes. I expect him any minute to be raping somebody or, and it doesn't happen. And it turns out he's married, but he's just looking for a little extra dough, a little extra blackmail material. He wants to be in the know. And that stuff there. But he comes off as a little creepy to begin with. Then, of course, and I didn't write it down, Miss Fitzherbert's two girls show up. And apparently they're both, the names are Mary, but one goes by Seymour. And I didn't, by that point in the book, I was so involved, I didn't. What are you doing? Oh, Smokey. You know how to get a cat from stop biting the wires? Remove the wires, remove the cat. An angry cat. An angry cat. Go on. She's pissed. She's pissed 6 ways to Sunday. She's pissed. Yes, ma'am. So where was I? I forgot. So and they're her stepdaughters. They're not her biological daughters. One's a ward that she picked up, and one's a stepdaughter from her marriage. And but not that. It's a different, a confusing. Apparently, Miss Fitzhugh has 2 marriages. One to the king and one to this other guy. And maybe they're not the same person. I'm almost positive. So, because the girls got to go back to the father. They weren't supposed to leave. But anyway, that's a side story. And it's kind of an important piece of the side story, and I feel bad. Because Miss Tilly Tish over here is distracting me. Alright, so let me get back to my notes here. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What? What? Let me back up here a little. What? Brush me, Mommy, brush me. Got this new brush. She's addicted to it. She's like, she wants her cheeks scratched forever. Do it for hours. Do both sides. Yes, Mom. Do both sides. Yes, Mom. Okay. So, in the midst of all this, there's this solicitor. And apparently the solicitor is really good at obtaining stuff, information, documents, blackmail stuff. So you hire him to help you get out of debt. He gets information on whoever's doing you, gets the money from them, and then instead of owing your debitors money, you all Mr. Pool money now instead. So the debt gets transferred. Pool handles the other person, but now you all pool. So now Pool is using the purse strings to get at you. So, they start an investigation for the missing marriage certificate. And stuff is pointed this way, that way, this way, this way, this way, that way. She's so good at, Miss Wilde is so good at pointing the finger. But it could be this person because of that reason. Yeah. And it could be that person because of this reason. It could be all these different people. And it turns out you are over it today. Okay. So we got the marriage certificate has been stolen. And it was stolen. It was stolen in a very complicated way. Apparently it went through several different hands before it got to the person who ended up with it. And that's the mystery here. Who had it? And apparently it went through a couple people, and then it was supposed to go that way. And it never ended up that way. Mr. Poole was murdered before it could go that way. Okay? I got a cat hair all over me now. So now we have to investigate Mr. Poole's murder. And not only was Mr. Poole murdered, but his body was thrown out of a carriage right in front of Adam Harkness. How convenient was that? So Mr. Poole is dead. So now we gotta go search his. Excuse me, I have got to blow my nose. So we tried where he was staying a little. Even though the man's married, he had a side place. And then we have to go searching his other side place. And his frontal business office. And then we have to go searching his home. And I didn't get all the family members, and I should have. It was an important. They were the extras, though. They're not your core character. They're a bunch of extras that were introduced for the mystery. And technically, you should really pay attention to the extras, because you know your core people, and you know the core people aren't doing anything. So it's got to be all the extras. But by that point, it was 40 people in, and I was so involved in the story that I forgot to keep track of those characters, all the extras. But there's Mrs. Poole, Melora, there's Letitia, a kid, one of the kids. Considin is Melora's brother. And then we have Judith, the maid. And then we're over at Miss Fitzherbert. And we have the two Marys. And we also have Mr. Dawson ends up showing up at certain points in the book. And Miss Seymour is seen in the garden having midnight kisses with Mr. Dawson. So there's some stuff going on there. And Mrs. Fitzherbert knows, and she's in a hurry to get the kids back to the father out to the country so the daughter can't be tempted to have her secret rendezvous with Mr. Dawson. And that becomes an issue at the end of the book too. So I'm trying to figure out what but then in the middle of all this, because why did I think this was important? In the middle of all this, rumors start flying around, and apparently rumors have been the rule in the hot ton. I can't say it right. I'm not very good at saying it right. And so Jersey, the lady that's in charge of Almac, Mrs. Jersey, and this other lady that comes in, Countess Levison, and they both start, attacking Rosalind for being involved with Miss Fitzherbert. With our beleaguered Queen Caroline returned to London to defend herself in the petition of divorce being most cruelly levelled against her, at attention once again turns to the woman at the root of all the strife. The venerable, and so say all her admirers, admirable Mrs. Maria Fitzherbert. Mrs. Fitzherbert has yet to voice a public opinion over the matter of the man long purported to be her husband, attempting to obtain a divorce for a second marriage, which may not have been legal in the eyes of God or man. But surely she must harbor secret hopes or fears that there might soon arise an opportunity to confirm her particular status, at least in the eyes of the public. These days, when Lady About Town is faced with any seemingly insurmountable difficulty, be it deciding which silver service is the best choice for an upcoming dinner with Lady Formidable, or how to obtain a set of possible indiscreet letters that have fallen into the hands of Mr. Scoundrel, she increasingly turns to one Mrs. Rosalind Thorne. Now it seems Mrs. Thorne's reputation as a solver of all problems, large and small, has carried her as far as Miss Fitzherbert's doorway, which portal she was seen entering last evening in the company of Mr. Adam Watchdog Harkness, formerly of the famous Bow Street Runners. So she's seen. And that's how Lady Villers finds out, Lady Jersey and Lady Levison. And I need to, by the next book or so, to get a little bit more on Mrs. Levison and see where my notes are about her. Because she doesn't show up till later, and apparently there's a really good relationship there. And I just don't remember it, and it's not in my notes anyplace. And apparently she's an important person to need to pay attention to. So then we find out all about Miss Levton and the Countess. Oh, that's right. She gave Rosalind money. See, that's where we need to go back and research a little bit. Miss Levton, and every time, I know this probably came up in my last books, but every time I think of Miss Levton, I think of Levi, and this is spelled Tton. Okay, I am thinking about Levittown up there up in New York and in Pennsylvania, Levittown, the houses. Um, but Mrs. Leviton was a wealthy widow who ran a number of flourishing business concerns. Rosalind had assisted her and her family during a particularly delicate crisis. Her effort had impressed the enterprise enough that she offered to invest a sum in Rosalind to put her on a stable footing. It was Miss Leviton's money that hired Rosalind's new household staff and paid a number of her daily expenses. While her clientele expanded, in return, Rosalind and her man of business, Etnie Prescott, met once a month with Mrs. Levton and the ladies with whom she formed an unofficial consortium to show her the accounts. It was agreed that once Rosalind's income was above a certain level, she was to begin repaying of the investment. So when Miss Levton finds out that Rosalind is hanging out with Miss Fitzherbert, she has some issues there and she wants to know what's going on. And Rosalind as with Mrs. Villers, as with Mrs. Levton, she plays the discretionary card. You know, they're clients, it's client privilege thing. Attorney client privilege or researcher client privilege, you know, that kind of thing. So there's stuff all going on with that. And then, of course, we have the daughters that came in for Miss Fitzherbert. And then we're investigating and we discover Mr. Dawson and Miss Seymour, and we're looking into him, and he's seen a certain residence, and questions start. They ask questions, and then Mr. Townsend and Mr. Stafford get involved from Bow Street, and questions come up there with Adam. I kept thinking they might start hiring Adam back, but I don't think they're going to do that. Adam's going to stick with Sir David, the coroner. It's much more honest that way. And he doesn't have to deal with Bow Street as his bosses. And it's just, I'm trying to think of how to, so Minnie's man, Mr. Dawson. So he's seen in a few places. And then, this other guy, the servant over at Miss Fitzherbert, who may or may not been involved in the original theft of the marriage certificate, goes missing. Then he ends up dead. Then somebody else ends up dead. There's a few other things going around. The fingers are pointed left and right. We have a couple of possible elopements going on here. Alice has a bad experience, but George is with her, so it's okay. But it's just an awesome book. I love these series. I can't. Now I've got to wait till next year for the next book to come out. I've always got this. One of the reasons why I like to wait until a book, and I should do a short on this. I should do a short. One of the reasons I like to wait till I usually don't start a series with under 10 books. But there's a couple of series that I got hooked on. And in fact, confession, I've got 2 books in my to be read pile that are part of a 4-book series. There's only 4 books so far in both of those. And I really should wait till there's 10. But because I like to binge read and I like to know that there's another book coming. And I don't like to wait the year for the next book. But a lot of authors do that. Unlike Patterson, who can toss them out like crazy. Although you may not get a cross for a year. But you'll get 20 others in between. But, shoot, I'm going to sneeze. But the big reason is it's the unreasonable fear. But it's a fear. And the reason why you'll never see me actually read a Michael Connelly book is because my mother died in the middle of reading a Michael Connelly book, Angel's Flight. And I had to return it to the library for her. And that just the fact that she will never know how it ends. And she probably, it's been a while now. But she'll never know how it ends. And that's my fear. That's why I try and read as much as a book in one sitting as possible. Especially if I'm going to be going out the next day. Because you never know. And that's just a fear. So that's why I binge read as much as a book as possible in a couple hours as I can. But anyway, so that's a Matter of a Secret Bride. Darcie Williams. Enjoy.